Welcome back, everybody, for a brand new episode of the DC Talks podcast. I'm with the main man, DC himself. How you doing, boss?
All right.
Good to
We're
see
wearing
you.
collared shirts today, a little open.
Collared shirt, feeling a little bit casual as we discuss this
Some of my
topic.
chest hair, which I haven't shaved in a bit. Since
Do you ever shave your chest hair?
all the time? Yeah.
Really?
Well, I go on vacation. I
Is it
shave
like
it.
maintenance or like actual like shave?
I have like a trimmer, which I actually use on my face because I like it too. But I use it on my body and stuff too. It's a body trimmer, so it's like, especially going on vacation. I never used to get hair on my back, but I started waxing because I'm like, with the testosterone they're on, it's like it gives like a little bit of hair and like. But now my wife's like, you actually got hair on my back. I'm like, don't tell me that. So I don't know if I have to go laser. I hate hair. You
hate hair.
Oh, yeah. I hate hair. I shave my armpits. I don't like any hair on my back. I don't mind on my chest a little bit when it's like manageable.
It's I heard like chest hair, like a lot of women say it's manly.
It's manly, but back hair is just disgusting.
It makes you look like, I don't know, unkempt a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
But man, we have like a lot to discuss. One of the things that I've been seeing lately,
Talk to me. What
which
would you like to discuss today?
Which sparked this idea is how we've normalized degeneracy, right? And how it's actually become a business model that once it became normalized, people are profiting from it. Industries such as sports gambling, this used to be a taboo topic, but now it's become so rampant.
Well, I remember, wasn't it illegal to us to gamble before Proline came in when we were kids? Like, you weren't allowed. It was all like bookies and things like that. I remember as a kid, like, nobody gambled like that. It wasn't. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
Yeah, and it was actually illegal, but now what happened is that these gambling companies like FanDuel, Bet365.
What's one with the George St. Pierre with 888? Is that still available?
I believe it is. But the betting now has now been changed because they classify betting like on a player as you're betting on performance. So it's not like you're betting on.
You can bet on a player. I don't bet at all. I don't gamble at all. Like, I don't even do the lotto. Like,
you've been against. I remember like I tried to talk to you
so
about gambling before,
gambling.
and you were never about. Like, what turned you off about it in the beginning?
Well, you're basically throwing your money away, basically, right? And you're relying on other people. And like, honestly, I think a lot of gambling has also led to like a lot of fixing in sports, right? Obviously, even like, in Pete Rose days, those kinds of things in baseball, like, so it just tarnishes sport for me. Like, there's other things, like we know in the World Cup of soccer, there's a lot of, like, remember that poor Colombian guy scored in his own net, and then he came back and they killed him because there's a lot of money riding on that game. It ruins sport. It really does. And some people disagree. Well, that's why more people are watching is betting. Like, how many people that they're active gamblers that actually care about the sport? They're watching just to see the results. And how many times, like, even when their team's winning, if they bet on their team, like, I just need them to beat the spread. I'm like, you
don't even enjoy the match.
It's not enjoying it anymore, right? And to me, I think, first of all, in gambling in general, I think is wrong. And I don't mind doing it for fun once in a while, but look how much it's like. Look how many people have lost homes, and like Vegas wasn't built on winners. Remember that, right? They don't build those huge complexes because you won a lot of money. You beat the house. It just doesn't happen. So you're already stacking yourself against the house, and then when you're betting on sports, they're obviously making a ton of money off of you. So, like, to me, it's just not a good business plan. I think if you took that money, the amount of money you wasted on gambling, and you put it to something like, it doesn't even have to be housing. You can put it into stocks. You can put it into your own business, put it into your kids. There's other things you can do with that money. Yeah, sure, you have a potential of winning a shitload of money, but how many times do you actually win? Right? Like, how many times you actually hit that jackpot? Now, if you're supporting a good cause, like the Princess Margaret, which is for cancer research. Cancer research is a whole other topic. I don't want to get into all the scams that's going on there. Like, how have you raised billions and billions of dollars and you're no longer advanced in cancer? But anyway, it's a good cause. Like, my brother had cancer with, actually all my family's had cancer, but he was at Princess Margaret when we did the bone transplant and all that. So I like supporting Princess Margaret because they treated my brother well, right? I like to support like sick kids. Obviously, if there's a charity you want to send to, if there's I like Princess Margaret because they do it. You can win the houses and all that kind of stuff too, which is kind of cool. But at the end of the day, if you don't win, you're okay with it, right? You're not gambling on that. It's one of those things. It's like, sure, you may not get a tax receipt, but it's like, money's going to a good cause. What they do with that money, it's a different story. I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate.
But as long as you're doing it with a good intention.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, but gambling in general, like, have you ever read any investment books? And that's what really turned. I never was into gambling because I remember one time on a road trip, and we were playing. I was a rookie. We were playing with St. Mike's, and we were going to Buffalo. We were going to Detroit. We were playing in the tournament there, and we were playing in between. You ever play in between? Isaac, you ever play a game in between? So it's a card game, right? So basically, you get one card dealt to you. There's pot in the table. You each have to ante in, right? So you have to pay some money in the beginning, and so the first round you can't go more than whatever that's half of the pot. After that, you can bet the whole pot and all that. So obviously, you get one card, and then you get a second card. So you get two cards, and when it comes up to your turn, in order to win, you either say okay, I bet whatever in your card you flip up is going to be in between. So for example, if I had a 2 and a 10, right? As long as I got something in between, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I would win. Anything outside, like higher or lower than those numbers, you'd lose. But if you get, we call it hit the post. Remember, between 2 and 10, if you get a 2, whatever you bet, you have to pay double. Or if you get a 10, you have to pay double. So I learned this quickly, and I'm playing. I was doing all right, and we're playing, and all of a sudden I got an ace and a 3. So ace was high and 3 was low. So you couldn't get any higher. So ace was the highest card in the deck. 3 was the second lowest card in the deck. So in order for me to win, the only way I could lose is if I got a 2 or I got an ace or a 3, which means if I got an ace or a 3, I would have to pay double what I bet it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So 3 and ace. I bet the pot. Guess what happened?
You lost?
I hit the post. I got an ace.
Yeah.
And my stomach dropped. I had no money. I had to pay it. So I had to continue to gamble. I had to borrow money off my buddies. They're at the table, my teammates. And I would pay them back. And I won my money back. Thank God. And I paid. After that, I said, I'll never gamble again. And that was grade 12. I remember that was we went on a trip. I only had $180, I think, on me. And I lost it like this. And that made my stomach drop. Imagine losing a house or gambling a house. I can't stomach it.
You can't.
I still remember that to this day.
Yeah. For me, my gambling was when I became legal age, which was, I think, I was 18. I think my 18th birthday. My friend Mike Rocca took me to the casino in Sarnia.
Good old Italian boy.
Yeah. And it's first thing we're doing, let's go to the Chino and we'll play. We're at the parking lot. He's like, listen, you're going to win. I'm telling you, you're going to get beginner's luck and you're going to double your money. When you get that money, never come back here again. You're going to be chasing the dragon. And he warned me. And that's exactly what happened. We brought in $10, end up playing some of the slot machines, end up with 50. And I want to continue. He takes us let's get out. Because I've seen uncles, cousins, it goes bad like this. And from then on, I never was about that life anymore. Even with the point spreading and everything. And now how it's become so legalized, FanDuel, Bet365, all these gambling sites, it's now impacting kids. People are looking for their next paycheck. They're even using their credit cards, and it's becoming even my close friends, I'm like, oh bro, the spread, I gotta get the player prop, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I'm like, man, do you see how I'm like, if you look at your earnings and your losses, have you won more than you lost? It's no, I've lost more. And my issue now is that these type of things, with the sports betting, even leading to OnlyFans, which is now marketed as self-expression, we're using the term.
How did you make that leap? I was going to say something. You didn't let me say something about the betting.
Sorry.
You jump into OnlyFans. Whoa, wait. Well, I was saying, on top of that, now you actually have, and we were just talking about this offline, how many athletes are now getting caught? You should get a fine for that. How many fans are we? So how many players are we getting now indicted for gambling and cheating? We already know about Otami, before, it was an accountant or manager. Yeah. Recently, I was just telling you, my wife was saying that with our group chat, I don't know, was it her that sent it? But yeah, over here. Sorry. Breaking. Cleveland Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Clace and Luis Ortiz have been indicted by prosecutors in Brooklyn on a host of charges related to a scheme to rig bets on pitches thrown in Major League Baseball games. Ortiz was arrested in Boston earlier today. Clace is not currently in custody. So you have that, right? This has been going. Sure, Pete Rose did it, had a black eye, but now it seems like everybody's kind of doing. Shoeless Joe Jackson was, back in the day. But so there's been some sort of betting happening in baseball, but now was it basketball too? Like you saw all the stuff was happening in basketball, right? All the betting that's, of course, like, but that also tells you the type of culture. These guys are making millions of dollars, and it's still not enough.
Yeah.
These guys need Christ. I'm not even joking, because imagine that, like, you will never be fulfilled. That just tells you what kind of their life is. So what are they spending their money on that they need more and more and more? Like, the amount of money they have will never be fulfilled. So I know we joke, like, we don't joke. People say, like, like that's a prime example how, you're chasing the dragon all the time. How much money do you need? You'll never be satisfied. And yeah, so that might lead into like, well, people self gratification. That's what leads into OnlyFans. Like our society's already gone the demonic route. Like, we're following riches. We're following people. Like, we'd rather see people on Instagram throwing money away than giving away, like they're doing charity work, right? That's just our society. So it's no surprise that the OnlyFans is like crazy. I was just watching a girl. She made $70 million, and her most she made in a month was like $2 million, like in 1 year. It was like 70 in a year. And she was telling me stuff that was happening in OnlyFans and stuff, the things that they get her to do and stuff. I'm like, it's gross, right? And then I saw right after the video, I was watching this morning, and there's one girl walks, you ever see those? So the problem is, like, people think these girls, like, they think like, oh, I'm all desirable because people want to pay to see me naked, do me these acts and things like that. But in real life, it doesn't translate. So there's one girl went out on this dating show. See those ones with the balloons? And as soon as you say something they don't like, they pop the balloon. Yeah. So she walked in and she's had all tied it up. It wasn't unattractive. But she walked up and she's like, I'm an OnlyFans model. All 10 guys, pop, 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 pop. And she was like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And I didn't like the broadcasters calling her a whore and all that. I wouldn't say that. It was just like, know your priorities. Like, sure, you might be making a ton of money, but like Jesus said, what is it to gain all the riches of the world but to lose your soul? And that's exactly what's happening. And that was a prime example. Like, you might have millions of dollars, a beautiful home, but you're empty inside. Was it all worth it? And I think society, we don't have any shame like that anymore. My wife says all the time, what happened to shame? Like, that comes to drug use all the time, like promoting that too, like promoting people to drug use, promoting people to be slothful and not go to work. Like, they'd rather, use the government's money than go to work. We've seen that over and over. We're hearing about that. I can tell you personally, we have quote unquote friends, acquaintances that we know that are doing that. Like, well, I'm too qualified to go to work, so I'm going to sit at home, let the government pay for my kids. What? Did you see, like, the government paid $7.1 billion on was it between this government and the last government on welfare or something like that for non-Canadian citizens? Yeah, it was on Instagram.
For non-Canadian
well,
citizens.
not welfare. It was some sort of payment. I'll see if I can find it. But it was basically paying for non-Canadian citizens over $7.1 billion for them to live for government assistance. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are you kidding me? Let's see if I can find it at the straight out of the six. See if I can find it.
But yeah, as you're bringing that up, I think
Canada government paid out over $7.1 billion in child benefits to non-citizens over the past 9 years. So it was child benefits.
Child benefits.
Exactly the same things, basically welfare, right? Mm-hmm. Think about that. To non-Canadians.
To non-Canadians.
$7.1 billion.
That's disgusting.
With a B.
That's an obscene amount of money.
For not even our own citizens.
That's another topic to explore. But no. But the thing is, even with the what's going on is that this degenerate culture now becoming a business model is now marketed as like self-expression, right? Or you are empowering yourself by taking back your own time, like being marketed as like crypto. Oh yeah, you can make quick money, because even though you can invest in crypto, you can lose it instantly if you don't know
get crypto.
Exactly. And I don't either. Like, I dabbled in it like back in university, but I'm like, it's just too much. It's too much.
I have so many friends trying to get me in to do that kind of stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not there.
Yeah. And then the OnlyFans is like, oh, like, you're being authentic, you're marketing yourself and everything. So the more we're opening these lanes of people to be empowered or to express themselves, or even like alcohol and even like,
what's wrong with alcohol? I'm joking.
Like medicinal, even like weed and everything. A lot of people are abusing it. And even like when you're abusing it, it's now seen, oh, it's just like a wellness thing, because now it's so easily accessible. So My
Yeah,
whole
like last night, for example, I had some THC that helps me sleep after playing hockey. Like if sometimes I like going, THC does help, and I know you got to be careful because when you use any kind of drugs, you do open yourself up, and that's, believe it or not, there is the good and evil. There is demonic possession that actually happens, and if you're abusing it too much, you're opening. Like there's a reason why alcohol is called spirits. Right? It's go to any ancient civilization. It's like if you abuse anything, yeah, you're opening yourself up and like, to have negative things happen to you. But like for example, like last night I was playing hockey. Like sometimes if I play hockey late, I just can't sleep, and I don't want to drink a ton. I'm trying not to drink. I was like, I did have a couple of beers and came home, but just like, but I had a little THC oil and I go to sleep, and it's like it makes me sleep.
makes you relaxed.
But it does too much because when I wake up in the morning, like that's why today was a little bit slower. Like getting here, it's just like it takes you a little bit longer to wake up, and I don't love that. I know, like there's people, there's no side effects of marijuana. Bullshit. Like sorry, Isaac, like as he's in the background, but there is. And also the other thing is like be careful. Like our society is saying that it's all medicinal. We got to be careful with our kids because statistic has shown if your brain is not developed and you introduce marijuana too early, it does have regenerative purposes to your brain. Like so, your brain is not developing at the same level as if you didn't have marijuana until you're an adult. And you got to remember with men. Women, their cerebral cortex, which is the front of the brain, it fuses earlier than men. So men is like 24. So technically, we're not really supposed to be doing like hard. You should never do hard drugs, but like things like marijuana, things like that could affect your cognitive abilities. You probably should wait till you're about 25 till you're, until everything is fused in the front. So yeah, it's there. There's a lot of negative things that they've been telling us that it's fine. Like alcohol. In our culture, we're okay with alcohol, and the reason why I say we're okay is like. Since I was a kid, Italian, it's like you go to Europe, you drink a glass of wine with your kids with we'll mix it with ginger ale. It was never taboo to us. But I just find here in the States, especially because you're 21 drinking age, it became taboo. You see more kids go crazy in college and get sick and alcohol poisoning. You don't see that in Europe. You also don't see in Europe people getting drunk out of their asses and they think it's fine and puking all over the place. That just doesn't happen. They're like, well, why? Why do you need to do that? Right? But here, go to any college party. They're definitely going to see kids puking all left and right. But again, that's all part of the degradation of, like, I think society, right? It's the more like anytime you say thing is taboo, the people are going to want it more.
So like what you mentioned the whole thing with Natalie talking about shame, right? Yeah. Which is something
she doesn't sugarcoat stuff.
She doesn't sugar. She's a straight shooter. Why do you think shame disappeared from our society? Like, what do you think?
Well, a lot of shame started to remove from our society is when we took God out of the schools and we put ourselves up first. So it goes hand in hand because you need to have some sort of moral law, right? So in order to think that things are right and wrong. And that's why when we had God in schools, he was the authority, right? Let's be honest, there's God's authority. When you remove God out of the schools, well, who's the authority now? Now you become the authority. So you see how that's a slippery slope, and we've been doing it for years and years. How many times it's like you can't even pray. There's certain parts of the world you can not say you're Christian and pray. You'll get beheaded, or other things happening to you. But once you start to take away God, and that's God's law, like it basically becomes a law of the society, and the shame goes with that. Well, that means other things get mixed in, because there's no moral standing, right? No ethical standing and ground on which you have to compare yourself to. There's no measuring stick. So I think that's what happened. And when you become basically the God of your life, you can do what you want. Therefore, there's no shame. I could do what I want. Well, you can't tell me what to do. If I want to shoot up a bunch of heroin in front of a bunch of 3-year-olds with wearing a G-string and a bra in the middle of noon on a Thursday in front of a school, that's my prerogative. That's my truth. I'm empowered to do that. What do you mean I can't do that? Oh, it's okay that it doesn't matter that it's illegal on so many fronts, what I just mentioned there. It doesn't matter because now I'm the God of my own universe and I think that is right. That's what happened. Therefore, there's no shame. Because shame came then from a moral, like you would hide from a moral authority and you feel guilty because you would feel guilty in society. Well, now society is telling you, it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, or what it's you, you're fine. You're fine the way you are. Now, there is some merit to that. Like at the end of the day, like you're black, I'm white. Well, I'm Italian. I'm not white. But like 100% accept who you are. That's a beautiful thing. I think like, of course, you're a man. I'm a man. As far as I know. That's a beautiful thing. Accept that. I'm like, accept who I am. Great. Can you, I think that, but then there's all this other gray areas. It's like, well, I want to do this, and like, and that's where the problem comes in, right? I want to be a kitty cat. I know we talk about that a lot. I want to do this. And it's like, where's the shame in that?
So to you, the line between exploitation and empowerment is getting blurry.
100%.
Yeah. And do you think there's ever going to be a recorrection of that?
We're starting to see that now, I think. I think when we got a little really woke and everybody's accepted, I think all of a sudden, like when you had celebrities before Ozempic came around, you had a celebrity saying like fat is beautiful and all stuff, and then they're like, you've seen all those like those bloggers were trying to do those videos and saying about these, oh, follow me along. We talked about this in the past. Follow me along, and they're all like they're obese, like morbidly obese, and they died. All 4 of them died within a year, and all they're trying to do these blogs and stuff too, because I think society is realizing that that's not a healthy way to live. Even Lizzo's dropped like 1,000 pounds. Like she does. I'm like, well, I thought you were beautiful the way you were. Like they're realizing that. You got companies that went woke and went broke, right? Like you have, Jaguar, you had, Bud Light. Actually, Porsche did one too, which pissed me off. Well, yeah, I forget what it was. It was like us Porsche drivers were not happy with that. Do not touch our our brand. It's our prestige. I don't want to sell my car. Right? I've already just paid it off. But anyway, like I think companies are actually pushing back because they're realizing now, like the Generation X is the first time. It's the biggest generation that's going back to the church. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, there's been a massive
movement to go back to the church. I love that. I think a lot of that did have to do with the Charlie Kirk assassination, a lot of that too. But it's good to go back to the church. But I'm saying, but don't backslide. Why are you going there, right? That's the question. Like we need to bring. I think companies are realizing that the woke stuff is not hitting on what they expected it to do, right? And so I see the shift happening, right? But now we got to be careful too, because we're like, well, what's the next shift? Are we going to go to an extreme to another way? Are we going to go to like a Shuri law? Is that going to be the situation where everyone's going to be, it's a very strict law and which are people happy with? Are we going to do some sort of like a Nazi law and things like that, or you can't do it, or a communist law? It's like, so were they pushing us that freedom? And that's where my conspiracy brain starts going off. We're like, were they pushing this agenda, this woke agenda, freedom, and say, look, you degraded society, so now we have to go the far extreme opposite. This is your fault. This is what you did, right?
I mean, look at the way London is moving too. The UK,
it's scary.
And even I know
you can't even fly the Union Jack. Some people are getting arrested or beaten up for flying the Union. I'm like, you're in England. That's your flag. What do you mean?
Even like for when they're celebrating England, I think St. George's Day, some people are like going to a pub in some like north part of England. And the pub actually turned them away. They're like, oh, like that's like a representation of something back in the day, racism, yada, yada, yada. That pub like had to shut down. Like the whole town boycotted it because these are like proper English people. You know what I mean? And they're trying to celebrate St. George's Day and they're trying to bring the Union Jack and the English flag. And you're saying it's not accepting of everybody. I'm like, come on, imagine Canada Day. You can't even celebrate Canada Day.
Well, how many times people can throw down the Canadian flag and there's like no repercussions? I remember back in the day, like if you burned American flag or Canadian, like it's more the American flag, you were thrown in jail. Yeah. And now it's like if you wave them, then people are ripping Canadian flags, or like, I don't know what happens as much in the States. I'm like, that's disgusting. Yeah. Like, I don't know. The agenda is just,
it's become, and this is like what the whole degeneracy has now like sort of empowered people. Like when you give people so much freedom to do whatever they want to do, you blur the line of actually understanding what governs society the right way. Because now you can say, well, this is my truth. As you said before, it's like, oh, like this is my truth. I can do whatever I want. Like I don't feel safe doing this. I don't feel safe being here. And now you dictate the rules. You dictate your life, and you can do whatever you want, but I'm like, well, they're free to do whatever they want. But that is very, very dangerous. The third point I was going to get to this was it's institutions using rage bait as a part of a business model now. If you're watching news, they're saying a lot of outlandish things to get people to react in some sort of way.
Surprise, surprise.
And it's not, and it's just not right, because I'm like, even you still see BBC.
Well, let's be honest. I've said this before over and over again. Even if you look at, like, we talk about the real estate market, forget about everything else. The news is always like they're always throwing fear when it comes to the real estate market. When the market was going like so hot, I remind people is stop watching the news, and especially when it comes to real estate. Sure, they have the facts and figures, but what does it mean for your particular area? And the reason why I saw that is like, well, when the market was so hot, they were like scaring people, like, you'll never be able to afford a home. Look at these prices; it's gone up 20%. This is it's not sustainable. Like, you're gonna lose your. I'm like, what do you? And they're scaring people. Like, there's not enough inventory. And then now we have a ton of inventory, prices are low. It's like, oh, there goes the housing market. Now it's like, well, which one is it? Like, like now you can afford a home, and it's like, well, no, now nobody can afford it. So they're always spreading the negative. It's never, hey, like, look how happy, like, guys, there's a good opportunity here. Prices have dropped 4.7% compared to last year. There might be an opportunity. Talk to your realtor. Like, this could, if you wanted to own properties. Instead, now it's like, you should not own properties. You're going to lose everything. It's a worse investment. Blah blah blah. Like, they're never going to tell you good stuff. The news is never. They sensationalize it. It's never been about facts. It's always an agenda they're trying to push. So anyway. Sorry, I didn't mean to do a tangent on that, but I thought I'd make sure people knew that.
But that's the part that's been really, and this came to me when I saw what the BBC did with Donald Trump's speech. Did you hear about this? They actually got booked. This happened like when January 6th happened. Donald Trump said one part of his speech, we're going to go there, we're going to cheer our troops on, we're going to keep our yada yada safe. What they did is they took a part of a different speech that he said early on, they merged it together. And now that caused the entire whole perception of what Donald Trump said to be sort of like this person who is like Hitler or whatever. It's very on brand what they're trying to do. And this is how, a news organization you're supposed to be trusting has now turned to become a degenerate place to take a certain stance to tear somebody down, where you're supposed to be very, very objective.
Well, it's supposed to be neutral, right?
Neutral, that's the word.
I know there's no neutrality. Right, like the CBC, God, they should be defunded so quickly. Like, everybody knows their propaganda wheel is just terrible. Like, it's not a surprise that nobody watches that bullshit, right? It's like this woke stuff and all the Canada. Like, they're trying to push Canada agenda, but it's not in a good way. And it's like, that's why I know Polyev was saying, like, we're going to defund the CBC. It makes no sense, right? But the liberals are like, no, they're the ones that push their agenda. Anyway, we don't get into politics, but even that CBC should have been neutral, and they're not. The Toronto Star is obviously not. It's like they're very left wing, right? So it's like, that it's. I think that the Sun is a little bit more right wing, but definitely like.
Yeah, like, I don't care about like if you're left. I know like certain outlets have to lean onto some because they have a certain.
But I just thought it was the news when I was a kid. I didn't know the difference.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I'm just watching. I think Peter Mansbridge when we first came to Canada. Like, I love that guy. He was awesome, Canadian legend. Very factual. I looked forward to watching the news. As I got older, I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore because on a vibrational level, I just feel unease. I feel anxious.
Doing this vibrations shit.
No, like, I mean, like, because it just doesn't feel good, DC.
No, I get it.
You get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like be. I know the whole part.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to go there. But as we're working towards wrapping up, do you see a way of us actually controlling this level of degeneracy with the access to technology, AI becoming more accessible, with people reframing certain things as
AI still scares the shit out of me. Yeah. Oh my! I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what's gonna happen to AI. I've seen a whole bunch of things happening. Like, be careful with AI. Even the founder of AI was like saying, first of all, don't use AI for facts. There was a whole thing that I think we talked about this before. Yeah. I just don't see, unless society gets back to the ground roots of where we come from. And I just don't see that happening. I think there's too much. When I talk about God and Jesus and the creator of the world and how Jesus came to save us, and people still look at me funny. And it's like, do you not see what's happening in society right now? Like, you got to pick a side, and to keep your head in the sand thinking there's no such thing is not going to vote as well. And I think most people just don't want to hear it. They don't want to correlate what's happening in the world with a religious, aspect. They go like, what's happening, and that the Bible was telling us what was going to happen. They just don't want to listen to it. And you might be one of those people, and it's fine. But it's like, well, then what do you have to look forward to? I don't know. Until something happens, I don't see us getting any better. It is what it is. And they'll still think I'm a freak. And then the more I remember I had a conversation with one of my clients, and they're like, "You're pretty controversial." I'm like, "What?" Like, we were talking about like, well, the Christian stance. She's like, are you scared about losing clients? I'm like, "You're scared about hiring a Christian." I said this before. I'm like, yeah, I said like, so I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to cheat you. I'm like, I follow Jesus. I'm like, I have a moral compass. Like, that should be a good thing for you, right? Like, that should be like, when it comes to like citizens, like a real Christian, upstanding citizen, like that, you should want to work with a Christian, right? Unless you want to do something unscrupulous yourself. And then maybe I'm not the right guy to hire. Like if you're trying to steal from somebody or rob from somebody, don't call me.
Mm-hmm. I'm not for you.
I'm not for you. I remember I had a buddy of mine was wrapping up. He came to me and he's like, "Hey, Dave, you know any good accountants?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have a couple of great accountants." He's like, "No, I need a dirty accountant." I'm like, "Then you're asking the wrong dude." I'm like, "I don't know any dirty accountants. If I do, if I hear anything that's dirty, I walk away, including mortgage brokers and stuff. As soon as I knew you're doing something dirty, I'm not dealing with you. I'm no.
Yeah.
My livelihood, my reputation, my license.
Everything's on the line.
It's online for a couple of dollars. No, thank you.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Hope you enjoyed the discussion today. This is something that can go a lot more deeper as we unpack all these things that have been happening. But we wanted just to have a slightly deep overview of everything that's going on with the way sports gambling has been going. OnlyFans, it's been there for the past like 6-7 years. It's really taken off, but other certain behaviors that we're seeing becoming normalized, I think is pretty dangerous, and it sets a bad precedence for the future generation. But whatever your thoughts are, comment in the clips, YouTube, Spotify comments, Apple comments, rate, share, like, and subscribe. And we'll see you back next Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Peace.
Peace out.